All right, welcome inside the Newman P. Gymnasium. Uh, William P. Newman Gymnasium. Forget half that name. I'm Ethan Moss alongside Avery Henningsen. We're getting ready for some exciting conference action between the Husson University Eagles hosting the Maine Maritime Academy Mariners. Heading into the matchup, Mariners are 11-2 on the season, winning their last two, and while the Eagles are 8-7, winning their last six in a row. Eagles looking to make it 7 in a row against a very tough MMA team. We're going to get ready for the starting lineups. It'll be Joseph Swanson.
This time, must be the starting lineups for tonight's match. First, for the visiting Mariners, a sophomore number 1, Husson Eagles Stevens. A sophomore number 3, Sydney Rich. A senior number 9, Rachel Malampy. A sophomore number 13, Chloe Weeks. A sophomore number 14, Katie Albrecht. A freshman number 18, Isla Smith. And a sophomore number 22, Riley Sullivan. The Mariners under the direction of head coach Tricia Carver. And now, starting lineup for your Husson University Eagles. A senior from Eagle River, Alaska, number 5, Cheyenne Young. A sophomore from Stratford, New Hampshire, number 8, Beatrice Tursey. A sophomore from San Jose, California, number 11, Olivia McIntyre. A sophomore from Westerly, Rhode Island, number 12, Alexa Beal. A sophomore from Renton, Massachusetts, number 13, Cam Schweitzer. A sophomore from Alt, New Hampshire, number 16, Julia Levitt. And a graduate student libero from Belmont, New Hampshire, number 22, Amber LeMay. The Eagles are coached by Alex Gordon. He's assisted by Carl Dubsack and Andrew Moore.
All right, well, those were the starting lineups once again for MMA. Number 1, Honey Zuber Stevens. Number 3, Sydney Rich. Number 9, Rachel Malampy. That's one to keep an eye on for this matchup. Number 13, Chloe Weeks. Number 14, Kaylee Albritton. Number 18, Isla Smith. And number 22, Riley Sullivan. Number 3, Sydney Rich will be the libero for the Mariners. And for Husson, number 5, Cheyenne Young. Number 8, Beatrice Tursey. Number 11, Olivia McIntyre. Number 12, Alexa Beal. Number 13, Cam Schweitzer. And number 16, Julia Levitt. Julia Levitt, 1 kill away from 200 on the season. And the libero for Husson, number 22, Amber LeMay. So, exciting matchup today, Avery.
Yeah, these are two of the better teams in the conference, and we should see some good volleyball out there today.
Absolutely. Again, players to watch, number 9, Rachel Malampy for MMA, 225 kills on this young season. Well, not really young anymore, is it?
No, we're getting there now. That they only have a couple weeks left to play, but it's a lot of NAC East play here.
Really
for
just
both these teams.
The dog days of the season heading into conference play. So we get ready to start. Olivia McIntyre back to serve it off for Husson. McIntyre been very good with the service so far this year.
Yeah, she's leading this Eagles squad with 52 service aces on the season so far and led the team last year as well. Very well known for her excellent serving prowess.
A very impressive number. This one gets away. Bumped over the middle and sent back over by Malampy. And that one goes too far for the Eagles to handle. So first point of this contest goes to the Mariners. Sydney Rich will be back to serve. This one's dug out by Young. Tapped back over by Beal. Sullivan sets up. Malampy off the hands of Young for a very quick Mariners point.
Yeah, that was an absolute rocket, and there wasn't really much Young could do there on that play to keep that in play.
Yeah, especially when it comes off so quickly like that. And a very hot service by Malampy. 5'10" outside hitter, a senior from Duxbury, Mass. Really been leading this Mariners team so far as it's 2-1 Husson. Amber LeMay now back to serve. That one falls short again.
Yeah, Malampy's somebody who's led this team for several seasons now with winning the NAC Player of the Year for the last two and a Rookie of the Year her freshman season a couple years ago now.
She's definitely contributed a lot to MMA's dominance in the NAC in recent years. As Levitt sends that one over, handling it barely is Riley Sullivan, and sending it back over is Isla Smith. McIntyre looks for Tercy on the outside. Back out to Malampy, and splits the gap in the defense in the back row, right in between Young and LeMay. Just very good at placing that ball where no one can really get there. Now 4-1 as Katie Albritton serves it off. McIntyre handles that one off the short pass. Tercy taps it over. Dug out by Malampy. Malampy can't handle that one. Good idea not to go for the kill right away. Just taps it over. That's one thing this Eagles team has gotten a lot better at, is decision making right along the net. As Levitt is now serving. Malampy bumps it over. Levitt gets there in the back row. McIntyre looks for Beal. And sending that one over is Zuber Stevens. Tapped over by Young. Rich gives it to Malampy. Malampy hits it over. Young over the middle, and a miscommunication as that splits between the Mariners line of Albritton and Sullivan. And the Eagles have brought it back 4-3 now. Again, they can really string it together with Levitt serving. As you can see, she has a bit of a power stroke as that one goes out of bounds.
Yeah, she's certainly someone who has a lot of swing on that shoulder that she can get a lot of power from, not a lot of effort.
Absolutely, as Malampy is off to serve that one. LeMay digs it out a little bit wide. Levitt sends it over. Young bumps it back. Ooh, what a great play by Cheyenne Young on the outside as he was able to handle the tap over by Zuber Stevens.
Yeah, Zuber Stevens tried to play that a little bit soft, but
and I think that's one of the things that really separates some of the best teams is that ability to switch up between really that power stroke, as we see there from Beal, and just tapping it over, depending on the decision making, as Levitt handles that one in the back row. McIntyre sets back Levitt, and she sends that one out of bounds. So 6-4 Maine Maritime here in this first set. Lampy will continue the service.
looks like they might have called that play from Young a little bit earlier over the net there as they gave that point back to MMA.
Yes, that's what it looks like. Makes it 7-3 as LeMay is unable to handle that one working backwards. And Coach Gordon will take a timeout for the Eagles. We'll take a quick break as well. 8-3 Maine Maritime starting off this first set.
Selling is all about relationships and building trust. At Greenway, it's our people that have built the business. We're fortunate to have a team with years of experience. They know John Deere equipment inside and out and go the extra mile to take care of our customers.
And right now is a great time to talk to one of us about a new tractor. Get 0% APR financing for 72 months on a John Deere compact utility tractor. Nothing runs like a Deere.
From Greenway Equipment Sales, family owned and operated since 1994.
Welcome back from the break, and we want to take a moment to thank today's game sponsors: Performance PT, designing a healthier you; Greenway Equipment Sales in Ellsworth and in Bangor; Nothing Runs Like a Deer; Governor's Restaurant and Casella, giving resources a new life. Well, MMA on a little bit of a run here. The Eagles seem to be caught a little bit off guard by this Mariners attack. And Tercy misplays that one, trying to get it to her teammate Levin in the back row. So again, Mariners off to a hot start in this first set, 9-3. Malampi still on the service. McIntyre looks for Young. Malampi handles that. Young taps it over for an Eagles point. Stop some of the bleeding here, 9-4 now. Quick substitution, and that'll be Alexa Beal leaving the game for Adrian Beatty, who will be on the service. I think the Eagles can come back a little bit and expect a little bit different things from this Mariners attack, trying to adjust out of the timeout as that one goes off the light and in between the Mariners defense. Of course, one of the unique things about volleyball is the ceiling is in play.
Yeah, and I think for this team too, they play in a gymnasium that has a very low ceiling, and they're not quite used to some of these balls that hit off things such as lights and such ramparts too.
Levitt sends that one over, dug out by Rich. Powerful kill by Isla Smith. Finds the back corner. So this Eagles defense, especially in that back line, again, like I said, a little bit caught off guard by this Mariners attack. And you can see Mariners are 11-2 for a reason. Levitt handles a little bit of a knuckleball serve. Tercy tries to send that one over a little bit short.
Yeah, they have some powerful hitters all over that offense to them, and it's causing the Eagles some problems right now.
And obviously we know Rachel Malampi, very powerful, and we just saw heat coming off the hands of the freshman Isla Smith as Tercy taps that one over, almost splits the defense. Looks back outside for Riley Sullivan, and that goes out of bounds. So Husson getting a much-needed point. Isla Smith's going to come back into the game after being substituted out for the service. That's Grace Jennings. And Tercy will be back to serve for Husson. And she sends that one short.
A little bit of a problem here in this early going for the Eagles off the serves. That there's been a couple into the net and a couple long too.
Well, those have been some of the mistakes that we saw a lot last year that hadn't really been happening that much this year. And Young taps that one over, dug out by Honey Zuber-Stevens. Back out to Young, blocked at the line. Got to get it over. McIntyre sends it back. Rich handles that one. Off the block and unable to get there is LeMay. That was a great dig by Zuber-Stevens, especially off of the serve to get up into that spot like that.
Yeah, exactly what you said. That looked like that play was almost over for them, but they managed to keep it going for the rally there and come out on top.
It's just a great reaction. Young sends that one over. She's been working well so far. I believe she has 6 of 7 Husson points so far, 13-7 the score here in this first set, and she goes back to serve. A little bit of a curve on it. That one rolls over the net. LeMay sends this one back to Young. She taps it over. Off the block of Levitt and Schweitzer. Tapping that over is Sullivan. And unable to get there on the dig is Beatty.
Yeah, that was a really nice job by the Mariners to just bait the Eagles a little bit and get them jumping and just tap it right over the top of their fingertips.
This offense for the Mariners looks very scripted, and they work well as a team as Levitt sends that one off of the hands of Zuber Stevens. And as I believe that was her first kill of the game, that brings her to 200 on the season so far.
Yeah, a very important milestone for her. That's something to be proud of for this young Eagles player.
Yeah, Eagles, very young team, graduating 4 seniors at senior night. Cheyenne Young, Amber LeMay, the only starters out of that group. Adrian Beatty, one of those, a key contributor. So Eagles set up well for the future, as that one is called inbounds by the line judge. Couldn't quite tell from my angle.
Yeah, it looked like it was just on the line there, but as you were saying, really the core of this team is their sophomore classes. 4 or 5 of their top players are all in that age group.
Julia Levitt, Olivia McIntyre. That one is sent over by Chloe Weeks. Finds that back corner.
Yeah, McIntyre, Schweitzer, Beal, Levitt, and Tercy out there are all some very talented players for this Eagles team. They'll be here for another couple seasons.
And as they adjust more to first-year coach Alex Gordon, I think some great things in the future for this team. That one is bumped over by Beal, out of bounds. Mariners putting together another run, now up 7.
Yeah, they've done this a couple times now, that they'll get the serve and just kind of keep it for a while.
And that's one of the things the Eagles need to bounce back from, as that goes off the block for Levitt. 16-10 now. So in comparison to last year's home game against the Mariners, much different look for the Eagles. They've been able to handle it a little bit better. And that one, just a vicious serve off the hand of Malampi, and unable to dig it out is LeMay.
Yeah, there wasn't much she could do on that play. The ball's just moving so fast and with such variance that they're struggling a lot with her on that right side.
Beal gets that one back over. Looks outside to Zuber Stevens. Digging that one is McIntyre, and Levitt is unable to get it over. But a great play by McIntyre, ranging to her left to get that one to a teammate. And Alex Gordon's going to take another timeout. And so will we here at the Newman Gymnasium.
Husson makes it a priority of theirs to make sure each of their students are well-rounded and that we're prepared to go into the future.
It's very rare to have a college that can emphasize the professor-student interaction, and Husson hits it right on the head.
Instead of just, sitting in the classroom, is a great way to get hands-on experience. I'm actually out here doing things and seeing how things work.
After being here and meeting the people, I decided this is where I wanted to be, that there was no better option for me.
And welcome back from the break here at the Newman Gymnasium here in this first set. Maine Maritime leading Husson 18-10. Pretty commandingly so far. The Eagles unable to handle the attack from Malampi and Smith. They've got a lot to work with. Eagles have plenty of room for improvement on this set, and that's one of the things that they've been good at this year, is making those adjustments as they're seeing more and more of these players. In comparison to past years, they've been able to adjust very well. Beal sends that one over. And they're awarding the point to Husson. The line judge called out, but I believe the referees thought that one was tipped at the line. So 18-11, service goes back over to Husson. Julia Levitt with the serve. Off the line off the net, excuse me. Vicious kill, and unable to get there. Ranging back is Levitt. Digging that one out was LeMay. But it's just so hard to really control where that goes when it's coming in that quickly.
Well, they have so many players on that front line that can hit the ball with quite a lot of power, and it's something the Eagles are struggling with right now.
As we see again there off the block of Beal and out of bounds.
Well, with some of the weaker teams in this conference, you might only have one or maybe two players who can really get a hold of it. But with this team, there's just players all up and down who can hit it with just extreme speed out there.
Certainly a lot of depth. That one goes off the hands of Isla Smith. Or excuse me, that's Kaylee Albritton for a Husson point 20-12 now. And again, this team also very tall for the Mariners, I've noticed. So Isla Smith sends that one. Splitting the defense, finding that back corner.
Yeah, they have a lot of players in that 5'10" to 6 foot range here for the Mariners.
And that's something that comes into play a lot. We see actually a very short lineup on the front line right now in the rotation, but still they're all able to get up there and head it over as Young sends that one out of bounds. We've seen Riley Sullivan get up a lot on that outside and send it over pretty viciously a few times. 10-point lead for the Mariners. Again, play to 25 to win a set. McIntyre looks to Tercey. Tercey taps it over. Outside. Sullivan digging it out is LeMay. Looking for Levitt. And she sends that one out of bounds.
Yeah, Levitt's been a little bit too powerful today. I've seen a couple now that have just missed that back line by a couple feet.
That is one thing I've noticed. Sometimes it takes almost the entirety of the first full set for Levitt to really find that swing to split the defense and find the floor inside bounds, as that one goes out as well.
We know that she can find that swing, that she can be quite deadly for these Eagles out on that.
Absolutely. So match point for the Mariners as McIntyre taps that one over, and unable to dig it out is Zuber Stevens.
Yeah, that was a really smart play by McIntyre to just kind of send that ball right over the top of the net and not give MMA a chance to get a play on it.
Yeah, really just roll it over the net. Tercey to serve for the Eagles. Sees that one short, knuckleballing, digging it out is Rich. And Sullivan misplays that. 4 hits against the Mariners. Eagles putting a little bit of a run, not wanting to go quietly here in this first set. 24-14 is the lead for the Mariners. Tercey still on the serve. And that one goes out. So the Mariners take the first set here, 25-14. We're going to take a quick break in between the sets, and we'll be right back here on the Husson Eagles Sports Network.
If you want a place where you can be seen as an individual and know what you're doing and have a career to look forward to, this is your place.
All right, welcome back inside the Newman Gymnasium. Maine Maritime taking the first set 25-14 over the Eagles. Eagles have a little bit to adjust heading into the second set.
Yeah, they need to figure out how to stop that Maine Maritime attack here, as a lot of their points just came off some vicious kills out there.
Again, number 9, Rachel Malampy, doing a lot of the work, backed up by Isla Smith and Riley Sullivan for this Mariners team that has been dominant this year. 11-2 on the season so far, hoping to improve to 12-2.
Well, they've only been taken to 5 sets one time this year, and that's been a couple months now for them since then. So we'll see if these Eagles can do it, though.
I think they absolutely have it in them. They've shown a lot of fight this year, especially, going down on senior night to UNE, 2-0, as this is McKenna Middleton off the serve for a unique service style. Levitt sends it over, blocked at the line, and that one goes out of bounds. Off the block of Chloe Weeks and Kaylee Alberton for the Eagles' first point of this set. And McIntyre now to serve. Again, McIntyre very good in the service, very good assisting her teammates to get those kills. 447 coming into this match on the year. This one tapped at the line by Schweitzer and dug out by LeMay. Levitt sends that one over. And they're calling a lift, or a double hit, on the Mariners. But a great ranging play off to her right by McKenna Middleton to save that one off of the kill attempt by Levitt.
Yeah, and like we talked about earlier, that seems like Levitt's getting her swing back a little bit now as this game goes on, and if she can get that going on here, that we could see these Eagles turn dangerous.
And a tough play for Middleton in that back row, number 2, off of her arm. Again, McIntyre on the service, been very good this year. Goes back to Malampy, dug out by LeMay. Trying to get there is Levitt, and unable to do so. LeMay digs that one out a lot, you see, but again, really not able to control where it goes because it's coming in so quickly. You almost have to throw yourself in front of it. Sydney Rich to serve. Tapped up by Young, outside to Levitt. Off the block. Again, that's Isla Smith and Katie Alberton combining for that one. Fairly large Mariners contingent here today, as most of the Husson students have gone home for fall break. LeMay serves that one out of bounds. It almost becomes a neutral site here at the Newman Gymnasium, which is not often seen given these Eagles crowds.
Yeah, we'll see if the Husson football team, who just came off a win today, is going to potentially pull up here in a few minutes.
They love to get behind their team, and that's a great ranging play backwards by Sydney Rich to save that one. Young sends it over outside to Malampy, tapped over, pushed back over by Beal. LeMay gets there, McIntyre looks to set up Levitt. Tapped over. Handled by Malampy. LeMay again to Tercey. Sends that one too far. So a hard-fought point after that amazing save ranging back by Sydney Rich. And Katie Alberton getting it back over as well.
Yeah, it was definitely the best rally of this game so far.
And this is more of the Husson team that we have seen a lot this year. 5-3 Husson here in the second set. Maine Mariners winning the first set 25-14. Levitt off the serve. And that one falls short. Little miscommunication between that back line. And they can really string it together under the service of Levitt. And she sends that one out of bounds. Seems like every time I say that, she sends it out of bounds. Maybe I should stop saying that.
Yeah, I think you jinxed her a little bit there, Ethan.
It's a classic announcer's jinx. Well, Rachel Malampy to serve for MMA. And that one goes way out of bounds.
I think Husson will be glad that they didn't have to deal with any more Malampy serves here in the second set, as in that first one she went on a 5 or 6 point streak about midway through there.
Absolutely, and keeping her in that back row is also going to help with the attack. But again, you still have to deal with Isla Smith over the middle, as you saw there, splitting that back line for the Eagles. And Isla Smith may have been subbed out, but there's still another good attacker on that front line. Riley Sullivan, the sophomore from Wilmington, Delaware. Dug out by Beatty, she sends that one over. LeMay gets there, and McIntyre almost saves that one on the tap over by Chloe Weeks. So point to MMA, 7-6. Husson here in the second set. It's Grace Jennings to serve for the Mariners. Knuckleballing serve barely goes out of bounds. Wise to take it is Beatty, as Isla Smith comes back into the game. So 8-6, we've seen a lot of adjustments from this Husson team, especially that back line. Looked like LeMay has shifted herself over a little bit to handle those heaters off the hands of Malampy.
Yeah, I think Husson's trying to figure out a way to deal with both Malampy and Smith here today, as Smith also had quite a talented game.
Absolutely, as that one is tapped over by Schweitzer, and unable to get there on the dig attempt is Sydney Rich. So 9-6 now for Husson. Tercey on the service. Tercey, a sophomore from Stratford, New Hampshire. And that one goes short. Seen that a couple of times, with Tercey falling a little bit short on her service.
Yeah, she's had a little bit of a rough start here, but I've seen her turn around multiple times this season. So
we see this Eagles team really heat up as the sets go on, and we're seeing that here. Again, Cheyenne Young sends it off the hands of Zuber Stevens. 10-7 now for Husson. Like we were saying, Husson tends to heat up as the sets wear on. Very good in that fifth set. So should it come to a fifth set today, watch out for the Eagles. Cheyenne Young sends that one short.
Yeah, the Eagles have had a little bit of a trouble serving here today, as it seems they've had a lot that have gone into the net or gone long.
Which is somewhat uncharacteristic for the most part this year. They've been very good on the service. McKenna Middleton out of Peoria, Illinois, for Maine Maritime to serve this one. Outside to Levitt, tapped over, blocked at the line. McIntyre looks to Schweitzer, off of a block. Getting there is Middleton in the back row. Malampy sends that one over, out of bounds. Big point for Husson. Again, a great play by Middleton in that back row, ranging. She's got a lot of range back there from what we've seen so far.
They're very fast and has very good reflexes back there.
She also has a very unique serve style. You see her start at that three-point line and run towards us and then turns the corner and goes up and serves. It's very unique. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, it's something I've noticed a lot in volleyball, that a lot of players have very unique, different routines when it comes to taking that serve, almost like a free throw in the NBA, that no two are the same.
It's definitely fun to watch. So the Mariners are going to take the timeout. Trisha Carver, in her 10th season, obviously a lot of experience, going to take a timeout, try and get her team back on track. We're going to take a break here at the Newman Gym.
5 years ago, we started this journey of recycling. And with that same ingenuity, with that same innovation, and with that same entrepreneurship, we're approaching our next 45 years. We have an obligation to figure out how we can consume less, how we can recycle more, how we can create more sustainable products, and how we help our customers enable that.
We owe it to the future generations to continue to do better and recycle better.
Welcome back inside the Newman Gymnasium. I'm Zethan Moss alongside Avery Henningsen. Here in the second set, Eagles leading 12-9 after losing the first set, 25-14 to the Mariners. Seen a lot of adjustment for these Eagles, handling the attack from the Mariners a little bit better than they did in that first set.
Yeah, they're doing good at keeping themselves in front of the ball and playing it away from those talented Mariners players.
This will be Cam Schweitzer back to serve for Husson. Tapped over by Isla Smith. Digging that one out is McIntyre. That one goes back over. Tapping it over is Malampi. And a little bit of a miscommunication in between Schweitzer and Young on that back row, which is something we haven't seen a lot of this year.
No, these Eagles are a very tight-knit group, and usually you see a lot of good communication out there for them.
LeMay gets there on that dig as she sends that one back over. Handling it is Middleton. Outside and off the hands of Malampi. It was a bad setup by Albritton over the head of Malampi. And a little bit of a miscue for MMA in this well choreographed offense, where mistakes are very rare, as Levitt sends that one, handled by Middleton. Digging that one out is McIntyre again. She, from the floor, sends it back over. Getting there on the block is Cheyenne Young. And there seems to be some confusion on the call. It appeared that Young may have hit the net. So the referees are going to have a little bit of a conference. I'm not sure what they saw there. I'm a little bit confused. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it looked like both referees saw something a little bit different there on that play.
So that'll be a replay. So still 13-10. So a couple of great digs on both sides is now a moot point. Isla Smith sends that one. No one was back there for Husson. Amber LeMay came up to try and handle that. So 13-11 now. Malampi back in the service. McIntyre looks for Young on the outside. Off the block. Malampi moves to her right and digs that one out. Falls short. Off the hands of Sullivan. For a Husson point, 14-11 now. Substitution, Adrian Beatty will come into the game for Alexa Beal. Looking outside, Zuber Stevens off the pole. And again, if it hits that pole, it is considered out. So that'll be Husson point, 15-11. Service for Adrian Beatty. That one stays in. Getting there is Sullivan, excuse me. Young taps that one over. Looking outside to Zuber Stevens. McIntyre sets up Young over the middle. Off the block of Smith and down for a point. So Husson on a nice little run. 16-11, lead up by 5.
This is a very strong defensive formation for them as well, as Beatty has a lot of experience back there, as he was the libero last year for these Eagles, and having two of them out there can be very defensive for them.
Libero usually is the best defensive player. Obviously that different colored jersey you can swap in and out at will does not count towards the substitutions. Again, volleyball you get 15 substitutions per set. Then libero does not count towards that. A little bit of a miscommunication in that back row. Grace Jennings gets the service ace for the Mariners. 16-13 here in the second set. Eagles up 3 over the Mariners. Levitt gets there this time. McIntyre looks outside to Young, off the block. Malampy gets there, bumping it back over is Sullivan. McIntyre looks to Young again. Handling that one is Albritton as that goes off the hands of Grace Jennings and out of bounds for an Eagles point. So 4-point lead as Cam Schweitzer comes into the game.
Yeah, the Eagles are doing a really nice job of bouncing back here in this second set, and something my uncle always says is the worst you can be down after one game is 1-0. So if these Eagles can tie it up, it can be a very important point for them.
Exactly, it's a clean start, really. Last set doesn't matter. Start all over again. Low off the hand, dug out by McIntyre. Levitt unable to get there on the outside. Again, she's a little slow to get up. She's been dealing with some sort of back injury. It seems like almost every time she dives, she's a little slow to get up, almost all season.
Yeah.
Zuber Stevens serves that one. McIntyre looks back to Levitt. Outside to Sullivan, out of bounds, and avoiding that. Excuse me, Levitt did touch that. And the point goes to Maine Maritime as they look to tie it up. Here 17-16. Zuber Stevens on the serve. And they will. Off the block of Chloe Weeks. And finding the floor here. Honey Zuber Stevens, sophomore from Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah, this Mariners team is very diverse with where they originate from.
Levitt unable to tap that one over. Coach Gordon's going to take a timeout, and so will we. 18-17, Maine Maritime over Husson here in the second set.
Nothing runs like a deer.
Whether you have a lawn to mow, a driveway to plow, or a garden to till, our customers know you can't beat the quality and reliability of a John Deere.
And right now at Greenway Equipment Sales, we have a great offer for you.
Get 0% APR fixed rate financing for 72 months on a John Deere compact utility tractor with a 6-year powertrain warranty.
For more offers, go to greenwayequipment.com.
See the Smith Brothers today at Greenway Equipment Sales, Ellsworth and Bangor.
And welcome back here for some volleyball action. 18-17 Mariners over the Eagles here in the second set. They made a little bit of a run to bring it back closer. Eagles were up 5 at one point, and they've been able to string together a nice run under the service of Zuber Stevens to take the lead as Young sends it out of bounds. So 19-17 Mariners. Zuber Stevens still to serve. LeMay handles that one. McIntyre looks to Levitt. Puts it over the middle. And a great idea by Katie Alberton. Send that. Deflecting almost out of bounds, but against the shifting Eagles defense. Touched by Levitt. Young taps it over. Ranging to her right is Rich. And McIntyre gets the kill on that one.
Yeah, I think the Eagles breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief there as they can get the ball out of Zuber Stevens' hand.
Yeah, she'd been hunting them on the service so far. Cheyenne Young taps that one off the net. Tapping that one over is Weeks. Levitt sends it over, but it goes out of bounds. It's 21-18 now. Substitution will be McKenna Middleton for Riley Sullivan. Again, very unique service style. Again, starting at that three-point line. Middleton, a junior from Peoria, Illinois. LeMay handles that one. A little bit of an awkward hit. Levitt on the outside. Taps that one over. Getting there is Middleton. Sending it back over is Albritton. Beatty to LeMay. And that one was vicious. Off the hands of Malampy. Malampy, after that first set, really quiet in the second set up until now.
Yeah, she hasn't done a lot, and the Eagles have done a good job of controlling her aggressiveness out there with some nice blocks, too.
And Cheyenne Young takes that one, and it goes out, or stays inbounds. From McKenna Middleton, 23-18 for the Mariners team, looking to close out a second set. Young handles that one. LeMay gets it to Beatty. And Weeks sends that one out of bounds. Great idea to send it again. That Eagles defense all shifting to the top of your screen.
Yeah, they like to move them around on the court a little bit and get them playing hard to one side and then shift it back to the other side of the court.
McIntyre on the service now. Weeks tries it again. Tapping it over is Beal. Outside to Malampy. Malampy. Now again to Levitt. Off the net. So the Mariners now 1 point away from clinching the second set. After winning the first one 25-14. Now here 24-19. Eagles making this one a close one. Beal sends that one over. And no call yet. They're calling it out of bounds, but they're not quite sure whether or not it was tapped at the line. And they will award it to Husson off the block of the Mariners. Alberton and Smith.
Yeah, hard spot for Schweitzer here that she can't quite make a mistake off the serve here.
It's Malampy. And Malampy seals the second set for the Mariners. That was powerful. So 25-20 Eagles, making this a little bit closer than we saw in that first set. Only 5-point spread. I think Eagles a little bit of room to improve heading into this third set. Again, Eagles get better as the sets go on. I think this third set within reach for the Eagles. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they could definitely come back and win this third one and potentially try to recreate their game last Thursday here.
Again, down 2-0 to University of New England, and coming back and winning that 3-2 on senior night. We're going to take a break in between these sets, and we'll be right back here at the Newman Gymnasium.
Choosing a school is really difficult, but I have never felt like I should have gone somewhere else.
The thing I like about the school, the class sizes are smaller.
Making friends is easier here because of the fact that you are such a tight-knit community.
I was shooting around a basketball. That's how I met my first friend.
You meet a lot of new people from different areas of the world.
I feel like I've grown so much here. And there's so many amazing people that work here to learn from.
I definitely made the right decision coming to Husson.
All right, back at the Newman Gymnasium in between the sets, Maine Maritime now leading 2-0 in sets after winning that second set 25-20 over the Eagles team. Eagles made a few adjustments defensively, and they paid off by keeping the ball away from number 9, Rachel Malampy, who's been so good for the Mariners. I think this third set is well within reach for the Eagles. What do you think?
I think they could definitely come back and get that third one and maybe the fourth and the fifth, but that last set they had it well in hand and gave it away a little bit, so I think they'll definitely have something, a little bit of something to prove on this set here.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be McIntyre to serve for Husson. The Eagles are starting to get a little bit more of a crowd. Still not quite the size of the Mariners.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the football team's quite streamed in as of yet, but
they will eventually. An Eagles crowd so energetic and entertaining this year. It's a great ranging play by Alberton. Gets that one, saves that one for the Mariners. And Cheyenne Young sends that out of bounds.
Yeah, we've seen some great crowds in this gym, including last year's NAC championship for the Husson men's basketball team, where I think this place was pretty much packed to its full capacity there. As Husson definitely showed the home field advantage.
Yeah, the atmosphere in here can get absolutely electric, especially with this volleyball team playing as well as they have. And that one will go towards Husson. Unable to get it back over. Ranging is Sydney Rich. Schweitzer on the serve. Off the kill by Malampy. Wow. Hard to do much with that if you're Cam Schweitzer in the back row.
Yeah, you could barely see that ball moving through the air. It was going so fast that. Plus, she, like we talked about earlier, she can really place it on that floor. That you see some players who have a lot of power but not a lot of accuracy.
That one goes off the hands of Cheyenne Young. I think initially, again, as she warms up, Levitt is a lot more of the power rather than the placement. But once she warms up, she can combine the two very well. But Malampy just right at the drop of the hat just finds it so well. I'd love to get a radar gun on that. Bumping that over is, I'm very confused at what just happened. I think both teams stopped play for a second. And Alex Gordon's going to take a timeout. So will we here at the Newman Gymnasium.
Choosing a school is really difficult, but I have never felt like I should have gone somewhere else.
The thing I like about the school, the class sizes are smaller.
Making friends is easier here because of the fact that you are such a tight-knit community.
I was shooting around a basketball. That's how I met my first friend.
You meet a lot of new people from different areas of the world.
I feel like I've grown so much here. And there's so many amazing people that work here to learn from.
I definitely made the right decision coming to Husson.
Well, back from the break, Mariners off to a hot start, 4-1 over the Eagles here in this third set. Mariners up 2-0 in sets after winning the last one 25-20. Eagles looking to adjust a little bit here in this third set and put a run together. Alberton to serve for the Mariners. LeMay. McIntyre looks to Levitt on the outside and too far and out of bounds. 5-1 now for the Mariners. Again, Eagles certainly have the talent and the ability to challenge these Mariners in this match. Nice ranging play by Rich, moving to her right. Cheyenne Young somersaults and saves that one, but no one else is there for the Eagles.
Yeah, Husson obviously can't afford to lose this set, being down 2-0, and I think they're just going to have to buckle down and make those difficult plays.
Yeah, absolutely. This team fights hard a lot. Levitt sends that one short. Very tough break for the Eagles, starting this set very slowly compared to what we've seen. Riley Sullivan back into the game. Malampy on the serve. Tercey. McIntyre looks to Young. Off the block. LeMay handles that one. McIntyre back outside to Young. Young taps it over. Malampy handles that. No one's going to get there for the Eagles off the hands of, I believe that was Avia Hawthorne into the game. Hawthorne, a junior from Clinton, Mississippi. And he gets that one, looked like to be out of bounds. Young taps it over. Handling it is Rich. Smith over the middle. McIntyre looks to Young again. Nice play by Malampy to save that one. Tapping it over, getting there is Levitt. Young off the block. Had a huge block by Smith and Hawthorne combining on that one. And Maine Maritime just wants to close this one out.
Yeah, this is what we saw in the first set, that Malampy just went on a 5 or 6 point run and Husson just couldn't do anything to get her off the serve.
And 4 hits on Husson's side gives the point to the Mariners. So 8-point lead now for the Mariners. And that one off the hands of Tercey. Again, for this Eagles team, you just have to battle back, try to change momentum as Malampy tries to knuckleball it over the net and falls a little bit short. And Husson is able to stop the bleeding. Adrienne Beatty coming into the game for Alexa Beal. And this will be Marion Glinsky coming into the game for Beatrice Tercey. Handled by Sullivan, looking outside. Looking for Sullivan again. Umay for McIntyre. Young taps it over. And Hawthorne falls short. The Eagles, now, if I can do my math correctly, now down 7. And a powerful kill by Isla Smith. Set up by Hawthorne. 12-4 now for the Eagles.
Yeah, and we talked about Malampy coming into this, but Smith is somebody who's impressed me almost as much this game, that she's had some very vicious hits right along the edge of that net, and it's dangerous having that 1B to Malampy out there for them.
Yeah, and Malampy has really been quiet. The Eagles have been keeping it away from her well. But again, not really a better secondary option, like you said, with Smith over the middle and Sullivan still on the outside. Grace Jennings to serve for the Mariners. And bad placement by Beatty. Off the hands, unable to get there is McIntyre.
Yeah, the Eagles can't really afford to make many more mistakes here in this third set, as they're now down 10, and there's not much they can do here in this end of this game without messing up right now.
Levitt over the middle, and she sends that one out of bounds. Coach Gordon giving her a little bit of advice. Looks like she's hitting a little too high on her hand.
That's something I really like about Coach Gordon, is he never criticizes his players. He gives them constructive advice during the game, but you see a lot of coaches that their player will mess up and they'll get chewed out, and then for me personally, I feel like that never helps.
It never sits right with me. I agree. I think it's, especially at this level, it's all about learning and really enjoying the sport and being the best at it you can, as that's a great kill by Cheyenne Young. So 16-5, 11-point lead for the Mariners.
But I think having that relationship with your coach where you're not afraid to mess up, and when you do mess up, he gives you advice rather than calling you out for it, is something that's really important for this Eagles squad.
And especially for a first-year coach, it's great to know that he's really trying to look out for the future, and I think he's really trying to set this team up for success down the road, especially with this, like we said earlier in the broadcast, all these sophomores that are just so key for this team.
Yeah, we've seen some, just me personally, I've seen some just dramatic improvements on the bench as of this year, that Coach Gordon's often right in the middle of his team during timeouts and stoppages, that his team really looks to him as a leader, and something that's really important for having good team chemistry.
And Young sends that one off the block of Sam Urch, and unable to dig it out is Sydney Rich. 17-6 now, and Young will be back to serve. Again, Young has somewhat of a unique serve, as we've pointed out. Mariners will take a timeout, and so will we. We'll be right back here at the Newman Gymnasium. And welcome back inside the Newman Gymnasium. I'm Ethan Moss alongside Avery Henningsen. And here we are in this third set. Maine Mariners up 2-0 and 17-6 in this third set.
Yeah, the Eagles need to go on a little bit of a run here in order to get this game back.
They need a little bit of magic. And that won't do it, as Young sends that one short of the net. And we want to take a moment to thank today's game sponsors. Performance PT, designing a healthier you. Greenway Equipment Sales in Ellsworth and in Bangor. Nothing runs like a deer. Governor's Restaurant in Casella, giving resources a new life. Kenna Middleton sends that one out of bounds for the Mariners and hits the iPad. Oh no. The dangers of having technology courtside. It appears to be okay. Glad we didn't have to take an injury timeout for that one.
Yeah, that could have been pretty bad back there.
Just unprepared for that. Olivia McIntyre to serve. Sam Urch sends that one over. In between the defense, almost diving into each other. There's Amber LeMay and Olivia McIntyre.
I think somebody who's very important for this Maritime team is Katie Alberin, too, because she sets up a lot of those very dangerous hitters there on that front side, and not having a good setter can be very charismatic for a team, but for them, they don't have that with her. That she puts in good position very large percentage of the time.
Alberton, 441 aces on the year coming in, or assists coming into the year on this match. Off the block, taking that one out is Malampy, and that one falls short. So the Eagles get a point back. Now pull it up to within 10. Cam Schweitzer on the serve.
Yeah, only a season and a half into her college career, she's already 6 all-time for this Mariners team in assists. That she's somebody who's very talented, and she's also very young for them as well.
Yeah, both these teams have a very good future. Will most likely be competing against each other well in the North Atlantic Conference for volleyball for years to come. The Mariners have been very good under head coach Tricia Carver in her 10th season. That one gets sent out of bounds. 10-point lead for the Mariners, 20-10 here in this third set.
Yeah, very good is an understatement for this team, as they're the 5-time reigning champions of this NAC division that both these teams play in, and
I should say dominating.
They're definitely the team to beat here in this NAC East Conference that has undergone a lot of changes.
And the Mariners really just been pacing this conference for years. Nice dig by LeMay. Young taps that one over. As Britton setting it off the block and unable to get there is Albritton.
The Eagles are making a little bit of a run here, Ethan.
Cutting a little bit close. 8-point lead. Levitt on the serve. She's strung to get. Oh, I'm not going to say it this time. Caught myself. Malampy. To Levitt. Digging it out. There's Albritton. And that one doesn't get over the net. Eagles point. Timeout for head coach Carver. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here for this third set.
Husson makes it a priority of theirs to make sure each of their students are well-rounded and that we're prepared to go into the future.
I mean, it's very rare to have a college that can emphasize the professor-student interaction, and Husson hits it right on the head.
Instead of just, sitting in the classroom, it's a great way to get hands-on experience. I'm actually out here doing things and seeing how things work.
After being here and meeting the people, I decided this is where I wanted to be, that there was no better option for me.
And back from the break here at the Newman Gymnasium. Eagles putting together something, trying to not go quietly here in this third set, 20-13. Mariners leading sets 2-0. Levitt on the serve, looping serve. And trying to get it to Malampy is Albritton, moving towards the top of your screen, but Malampy unprepared for it. What was once a 12-point lead is now a 6-point lead.
Yeah, Levitt's doing a nice job of taking a little bit off that serve right now and just keeping it in bounds.
And a little bit too much off of it this time as that one hits the top of the net and stays on the side of the Eagles.
Yeah, I think we're going to stop talking about serves here up in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, every time we've mentioned something about the Eagles' service, it's ended badly. And that one goes out of bounds for Malampy. So it goes back to Husson. And it'll be Alexa Beal serving, who hasn't had much of an opportunity to do so. Looks outside to Sullivan. Beal digs that one out, but it's going to be unplayable for the Eagles as that one sails over the tables courtside here. Couple of substitutions. Marion Galinsky coming into the game, and Julia Ellis as well. Grace Jennings on the serve. Ellis digs that one. Over to Levitt. Right over the middle, barely handled by Malampy. And tapped over. Digging it out is LeMay. Back to Levitt. Again over the middle. Malampy again handles it. Looks to Sullivan on the outside. McIntyre sets up Levitt, and she hits it too hard over the middle. So 23-15 now for the Mariners.
It's something I've noticed from Malampy here today is not only is she very good right along the edge of the net, but she's also very good at that defensive side of the ball, which isn't something you always see from those offensive type players.
As McIntyre taps that one over and finds the floor. So 23-16. Amber LeMay to serve for Husson. Urch taps that one over. McIntyre looks for Young off the block of Urch and Hawthorne. So it will now be match point for the Mariners with Zuber Stevens back to serve.
Yeah, Urch is 6'1" and is somebody who can be very dangerous on that front line for the Mariners.
14 aces on the year. Back to Levitt, tapped over. Dug out, blocked at the line. Looking back to Sullivan, too far. Ranging to her right and getting it over is Zuber Stevens. That's a great play. Levitt sends it over and out of bounds. So the Mariners win this one 3-0 in fairly convincing fashion over the Eagles. But the Eagles look to be a little bit more up to the task as opposed to former years. Great look for the Eagles, I think, for this game.
Yeah, they'll play this team in a couple weeks now, and I think it's a good game for them to put under their belt, and they can go back and watch some film and figure out what to do different next time they play.
Absolutely. I think for this Eagles team, again, like we mentioned, it's a young core. They're going to be good for a couple more years, and obviously recruiting is a big part of that. We'll see how Coach Gordon does with that.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if that game here in a couple weeks on the 19th I would not be surprised if that's the last game for these two teams either, as they very easily could see each other in the NAC East playoffs this season.
Absolutely. Well, the Eagles are going to take a bit of a road trip. They will not be playing at home again until a potential playoff And they will be traveling to NVU Linden and NVU Johnson the weekend of the 15th and 16th of October. Both of those games should be good for the Eagles, beating them at home earlier this season. Well, 3-0 for the Mariners. Eagles looked very good. I'm Ethan Moss alongside Avery Henningsen. Thank you for tuning in today. Don't forget to tune in for field hockey later today in about 45 minutes. Isaac Potter will be on the call for that, so don't hesitate to join him there. Thank you for watching today. This has been a presentation of the Husson Eagles Sports Network.